My mutant brain senses danger.
Something unseen is slowly spreading its poison, edging tempers.
Think carefully before you do this.
You filthy criminals.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right. Welcome to episode 32 of Two Fat Guys Pull List. Let's see. What's the week is March 10th?
March 10th.
I can't, because it's always like, when was Wednesday? What's today?
A lifetime ago is what it feels like.
Right? So anyway, we're going to get a couple things started off. As we do always at the beginning of our show. First, we're going to say if you're watching this on YouTube, we would greatly appreciate a subscription or a subscription. Please subscribe to the channel if you could, please, and hit that bell. We would greatly appreciate that. We are trying to, and give us a like, give us a not like if we're not doing well. But either way.
Or you could just tell us what we're doing wrong.
That too. You can leave a comment. But either way, give us a subscribe, hit that bell. We would greatly appreciate it. We're trying to build our community that we have here over there as well. So there's that piece of business. And the second piece of business, as always, is the March Two Fat Guys Pull List mystery pull has begun. We are currently taking subscriptions for this month. And as always, if you do subscribe, you get 1 store exclusive, 4 to 7 back issues, and a chance at winning a big key or slab that Ron will be giving away at the end of the month. This month, we are giving away, or I should be saying Ron's giving away, CBC 9.8 graded Department of Truth #1. So that is what you will be winning a chance that you could win this book if you subscribe for the month of March to our mystery pull box. And also, we will show the store exclusive that Ron will be giving to every single box, which is Joker #1, remind me of the artist again?
Neil Adams.
Neil Adams. I was about to say Adam Neil. So the Neil Adams store variant exclusive. So everyone will get this issue in their mystery pool box. So that being said, we're going to start the show. Nate, you got a happy birthday, by the way.
Oh, it's my sister. Thank you, Andy.
There we go. So today of filming, it is Nate's birthday. So everybody in the comments, either on YouTube, on Twitch, in chat, wish the boy a happy birthday.
Now they know all my passwords.
Damn it.
Should have made my password my birthday.
So this week was... it wasn't as exciting as last week because last week we had a crap ton of #1s, but it wasn't a horrible, it wasn't a bad week. It was a good week.
Oh, I thought it was a good week.
Solid B+, I would say. I mean, I know you kind of ran down your books and was like B+, B. There's nothing wrong with being a B+ student. Nothing.
I wasn't that, so I would hope not.
So we're going to kick the show off with a new #1 from Marvel and the X-Men office. That's Children of the Atom #1 by Vita Ayala. This book was slated to be out last year around this same time, and then it got pushed back because of the pandemic, and then it got pushed back because we don't know.
Yeah,
but there might be some clues in reading it. So if you've read this issue this month or this week, I'd say I felt like it felt a little rushed. I don't know about you, but I felt like it was a little rushed.
I felt like they were trying to do a lot within this one issue. I mean, to be honest, like, it did feel a little rushed, but I actually was really glad with some of the things that we got in this issue that I think maybe the pacing wasn't right, but like the scene where they're talking in the gymnasium, I actually really enjoyed that. And it carried on for a while. Usually you don't see like a 9-panel layout last for more than a single page. And I think we had it for like 5 straight pages.
Yeah, for sure.
So I can definitely understand how someone looks at that and goes, "Oh, that's too much."
Yeah, I agree with you. I think to me in this book, so there's the first half of the book is like almost all action, and then the second half is more there's two stories going on. We've got the story of the Children of the Atom, our new X-Men group here. We've got a middle piece which actually deals with our original X-Men team, and then we have a later half of the book that deals with our X-Men team in high school. And I don't know, to be honest, I think for me, the high school part that you were just describing was the most interesting part of the book.
Yeah.
But we'll break it down here. So the beginning of the book, we have some mutants, or used to be mutants that have been powered down from Day of M, who are robbing a bank. And they're successful at it. And then our group here that's on the cover shows up, and they, work as a team, and they successfully stop them from robbing the bank, right? But there are uncanny similarities to each person in the group. So we've got Buddy, who is the Cyclops variant, if you will. I don't know what you want to call it.
Cyclops Lass is her name.
Cyclops Lass. You've got, I forget the names, so you might have to remind me.
I don't remember all of them, but yeah, Cyclops Lass, Marvel Guy.
I was about to say Marvel Boy. Daycrawler. I forget the Gambit one, or Archangel.
Gimmick and Cherub.
Okay, so they all have, the mutant that they're mimicking. They have those same powers basically. Outside of Cherub, correct me if I'm wrong, Archangel doesn't have that frequency power that he had at the end of the issue, or at the end of the fight, does he?
I'm not familiar with that, no.
Yeah, so at one point Cherub gets knocked down and his wings go away, and then he's about to get destroyed, and he shoots this psychic wave out of his arm. And I don't know where that, I am not familiar if Archangel or Angel has that power, but he does something like that. But all in all, this group of mutants have basically the same powers that they're emulating, or the hero that they seem to be copying. Mm-hmm. Or copying is not the right word, because we don't know if they're copying.
Right.
But either way, they're able to essentially take care of that group of mutant/non-mutants. And after they're able to kind of put them away, a group of mutants that have been on an X-Men team show up. And they're like, oh my God, it's the X-Men. And they kind of geek out, right?
And it's C-list X-Men at best.
Right. Yeah, like Pixie and Maggot.
Yep, and Magma. And they're just kind of like, hey, cool, you guys did great. Hey, by the way, we haven't seen you all on the island. Why haven't y'all come to the island yet? And, all five of them give their excuses of why they haven't gone to Krakoa yet. And it's mainly they have lives already here, and they don't want to leave, their families or their schoolwork or whatever it may be. And I will say, right off the bat, you're like, yeah, I'm not buying that. There's already something fishy, right? And they, the C-list X-Men basically say hey, well, whenever you're ready, you're more than welcome to come to Krakoa. It's your new home. We're not going to force you to come, but please, when you get a chance, come to the island. Yep.
So that scene cuts, and we go to our original X-Men. So we have Cyclops, Jean Grey, Wolverine, Nightcrawler, Storm.
Yeah.
And they're all at the
Summers
residence. I couldn't remember his last name. On the moon.
On the moon, yeah.
Yeah. And so they're playing pool and having drinks, and they're discussing this set of mutants, this new group. And they're trying to figure out a way to get them to the island, and they're also trying to figure out why they haven't come to the island yet. So they know of them, right? So they, I'm assuming they know of them via reports, because during this conversation, we find out that Cerebro and Professor X can't find these mutants on the map. They don't exist. They don't exist in the database. They're new. And to me, when I read that, I was like, well, that's fishy. That's not right. You should have some kind of record of these mutants, right? And they don't. To me, that was the first red flag. And throughout this conversation, they're trying to be as accepting of how these mutants, this group of teen mutants, is dealing with the idea of coming to Krakoa. And to me, if Cerebro can't find it, I think you immediately drop your pull cue and you head down to Earth and you immediately confront them and be like, "What's going on? You know, like, we have no record of you."
Yeah, like, who are you? What are you?
Who are you? Yeah, like, y'all are. If y'all aren't being picked up by Cerebro, are y'all really mutants? You know, but there's a sense of what's the word I'm trying to say? Acceptance, inclusivity, and trying not to rush to things. And then I think if they did that, we probably wouldn't have a book either. But so the group basically leaves it at, they're on their own timeline. I think the only mutant that's very stubborn outside of Wolverine, because Wolverine will do everything he can with brute force. But Storm is the one that, and I think rightfully so, is willing to be the welcoming party for this group, right? And so I think their conversation ends with her saying, like, she'll at some point go find them and talk to them. And that's kind of left open-ended. And then we cut to where I think the book really has its legs, which is this group at high school. They're not wearing their outfits. They're kind of mixed in with humans. Nobody knows that they're mutants. And they continue to have dialogue about fitting in normal society, their relationships with each other. I think we get a little bit of, I wouldn't say romance, but there's just a lot of caring, you know, like, you know, not really family, but not really friends, but there's just some form of relationship between all of them that they have a strong bond. And I feel like Ayala's identity really came through during that part of the book.
No doubt.
It almost felt like she was talking to us as readers, and what they, yeah. And I feel like that they were expressing kind of what they're dealing with right now.
No
I don't know.
No, I mean, that's probably the thing that I liked the most about this book, and that's probably the thing that comic skaters are going to use to try to put this book down. But honestly, that's just to me just another piece of an overall book. I think the overall mystery of who these kids are and why they can't go through the gate is the driving force of this book.
Which we were going to get to that part. Like, they try to go through a gate and they don't. No, you're fine. They basically at the end of this book, they gear up and they try to go through the gate and nothing happens. And it's kind of evident, like, as we get like data pages, like there's subtle hints like, hey, they're going to do this at the end of the book. And some other people, like other humans, have tried, and obviously it didn't work. So the implication is that when they went through, they're not mutants. Right. And I think that's where, like you said, like that's where the big mystery is. And there are many theories of what they could be. You know, I've heard 3 prominent ones, and I really hope it's the third one, and we'll break them down here real quick. But no, continue what you were saying. I'm sorry, I butted in.
Oh no, I was just saying that I think that the overall way that this book is going to contribute to the X-Men story as a whole, this whole Hickman, universe of X-Men, is obviously this mystery. But I think that the identity of this book, and on its own merit, is going to be the relationships and the identity of these kids, regardless of how they are, if they're mutants or what, the other things. So,
all right. So the 3 theories to who they are they're clones, like Mr. Sinister clones, which I think is a little too easy. The more controversial theory is that they're humans who want to be mutants, and they're somehow mimicking mutant powers, and so they're appropriating being mutants. And then the third one, which I feel like is probably the way that, or there'll be some form of variation of this, and Comic Book Herald hit this right. He pulled up all 3 of these. So this, I'm not going to be like taking any credit for these. This is all Comic Book Herald. We're just kind of using it as a microphone. He basically said that he thinks that they had mutant genes, and when House of M or M Day happened, they were so young that when people started getting demutified or whatever you want to call it, depowered,
Yeah.
they were so young that instead of them losing their powers, well, they lost their powers, but they lost their manifestation of even getting powers. That their X gene was essentially turned off before it even got turned on. And so that's his theory, and I kind of I really hope that's what it is. That they were so young that their mutant powers hadn't manifested yet, and so when Wanda snapped her fingers and said no more mutants, instead of losing their powers because they hadn't manifested yet, they just lost their mutant gene altogether, and so they never got it.
So the thought is still that even if that third point is the case, that these powers are somehow manufactured, that they're not
and the
actual
reason
powers.
Yeah, so the reason why I think that, and we didn't really, now we're getting into that part. So in the gymnasium scene, the Gambit character, or I forget what she was called again, she's basically the tailor for the group. She's made their costumes. She's talking to Buddy about how, like, how's your visor fitting? Is it fitting correctly? And she's like, no, it's snug, it's perfect. I think that she is a tech. I think she has tech abilities, and she has figured out a way to manifest these powers via their articles of clothing. That's my guess.
Gotcha.
Because there's such a weight to it. Like, they're talking about it, and she's like making sure that all of their, all the adjustments are fitting perfectly, and that, everything is working and everything's fine tuned. To me, that's a very like Iron Man thing. Like, is everything responsive? Is everything fitting properly? Do you feel like you're in your own skin? I think that's.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is.
Well, and I think it also makes way more sense that that their powers are manifestations of extremely popular X-Men. And I don't even necessarily mean extremely popular to real life people, but very prominent characters in the Marvel universe. Like, these are characters that have been front and center for a very long time. And literally, as I've been sitting here just kind of looking at the cover of this book while we've been talking, two things sort of occurred to me, one small and I think one bigger. One is that Buddy is completely unlike Cyclops, to where she has no issues without her visor whatsoever.
Right.
Which leads me to believe that power is not actually coming from her eyes whatsoever. The second and way more, I am starting to lean towards the second interpretation that Comic Book Herald put forth. I think he uses I think him using the phrase cultural appropriation is odd and an incorrect way to put it. I think what we're seeing here is almost a these are, so literally what's making me think this is the name. These are the children of the Atom. These are the children of the mutant age. These are the kids that were born that never knew anything but mutants. The vast majority of humans that are alive right now, they were adults or teenagers whenever mutants started manifesting their powers. And they would have had to have been very young kids even when M-Day started. So that means that they were never born into a world that understood anything but mutants. Sort of like saying that millennials or Gen Z are like, children of Silicon Valley or children of the internet or something.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I almost wonder if that's what we're saying here by children of the Atom, is that not that they're children of mutants or that they're mutant children, but that they are influenced that heavily by mutant culture or mutant identity.
So, but is that wrong?
I mean, that's a pretty.
No. Let me rephrase. I'm not saying is it wrong for like me and you, right? Like in today, like in talking about social norms now, like that we deal with. But I'm saying within the Marvel universe, is that wrong?
I mean, I guess it
what,
depends.
what's Iron Man? What's you know what I mean? Like,
Right. At the end of the day, all you're really hoping for is an identity and superpowers. So, I mean, I think anybody could understandably want a group that they feel like they belong to naturally and superpowers.
yeah.
So I'm actually really interested to see where this book is going now, even more.
So
Just by the
as
sudden
your
revelation.
views, so has your view kind of changed since Comic Book Hall video?
Oh yeah, I'm much happier with this book now than I was even then.
Cool. Yeah. No, overall I enjoyed the book. I felt like, again, the beginning part, the pacing of like dialogue and action felt a little off, just a little bit. I'm not saying it was like a complete turn off. It wasn't, but the beginning felt just kind of like it didn't feel like it had any meat to it until the action was over and we were getting all of the conversations between C-list X-Men and our group of X-Men on the moon and then in the gymnasium. And then obviously the oh shit moment, where to me, honestly, I think the oh shit moment was kind of predictable. Like, I didn't feel like they were going through the gate. Like, even as it was ramping up, I was like, they're not going through the gate. They're not doing it. Like,
see, I'm so immune to that kind of stuff. They walked through the gate and then just came out the other end, and I was like, oh shit, what? it didn't. I'm such a sucker for that kind of thing though. Like, I'm never actively looking out for that.
Yeah, and that might be me. Like, you know, when I watch movies with my wife, I'm like, she's cheating on him. You know, and then like at the end, it's like, oh, she was cheating on him. You know, and it didn't
fun out of it.
Well, for me, it wasn't not fun. Maybe for you, I wasn't like at the end of it going like, well, shit, I figured it out. No, but I'm more intrigued with the mystery of like, okay, so are these humans? Are these depowered mutants before their gene manifested? Like, that's where my intrigue is, and so like I'm all aboard it. And I think the character development at the beginning of the gymnasium scene really got me. That's where it hooked me, and I think you said the same thing. Like, that's a very odd thing to say for, you know, some comic book readers. Some people are just like, no, all action, give me Wolverine melting on the sun, and you know, like that's fine. But to me, like, we already have that in a lot of X books, so this is just another avenue of figuring out your identity and figuring out where you fit in the world. So
I'm the opposite. I'm more of a reader of characters, and so one of the reasons why I got into comics is because I'm just like, I like reading stories about people, and one of the things that you don't really get in prose and like novels is like stories of people that happen to be superheroes. That's not you know, novelizations of like superheroes aren't that big, and when they do them, they're not that good. Right. So that's one of the biggest draws of comics. So when I get one like this, that's going to be my favorite part of it. That's the reason why I like X Factor so much when it first started. Is because I thought it did such a good job of setting up those characters and their relationship with everybody.
Yeah, no doubt. Either way, I'm excited about this book. I'm glad that it kind of subverted my expectations. Like, it kind of went in a different direction, but in a good way. And so I am welcoming it to my X pool and growing list of X-Men titles.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. So what?
What? Oh.
Thank you. There you go. Thank you for the birthday wishes for our boy Nate. So that is our a little review of Children of the Atom. I can't wait for issue 2, which I think we do actually get next month. So looking forward to that. All right. So speaking of X Factor number 8. So this issue did exactly what I told you it was going to do. So the last issue, we were both kind of like, wait, what? It left us on a gigantic cliffhanger. And it didn't... it just like, it abruptly ended with everybody dead. And we were like, wait, what happened? And I told you, like, I bet you next issue will be like a flashback of how it got to that point. And that's exactly what we got in this issue. We get the entire team one by one getting picked off by the Morgan, the Irish or Scottish, Scottish death soul eater thing. And this issue was brutal as hell. Like,
yeah, it was intense.
Seeing how everybody's, succumbed to their wounds was pretty intense. And I was looking forward to it. Like I knew that that's where we were going, and I was all about it. I don't know if your views have changed of how the issue went, but I liked it.
No, and this is one that I was like, yeah, it's a solid B plus. I would say the thing that held this book back a little bit was its predictability. It was pretty predictable where we were going through that. I showed this off during our comic haul video, but I just want to again show the middle spread of this iBoy piece.
That's sick.
Once again, this book was, I wouldn't say carried, but one of the foundational strengths of this book is the art. So the David Baldion, I believe is the artist's name. He's I say this, maybe other artists have done awesome things with iBoy as well. I'm not familiar with him as a character before this book, but the creative liberties that he has taken have paid off every time, especially iBoy.
iBoy is definitely a dark horse character too. Like when we first got this book and iBoy was announced, I was like, who the fuck gives about who cares about iBoy?
I was turned off. Like I saw him on the cover, and like it was almost like a little phobic. Like I saw all the eyes, and it gives you that kind of weird feeling with all the holes, and like I don't know about this, but luckily we were very wrong about that.
Well, yeah, like the past three, I'd say even past 4 issues, he's really shined through as a character and like has developed, and it's almost like he's kind of the center of the group because he can kind of detect everything before anybody else can, because his sight isn't just, it's like his sight is the 5 senses built into sight as well. It's a weird sentence to say, but like he can see pretty much anything.
Well, I think it also shows the strength of Leah Williams as an X-Men writer, that like this is the perfect group or situation for him, and like proves to his strengths, like, so a lot of these characters I think deserve to be on this team, but like pulling out iBoy and not only pulling him out but making him work well, and it feels really natural. It doesn't feel forced. I think that just shows the strength of Leah Williams as an X-writer.
For sure. So like we said, the first half of this issue is basically like a flashback of how the entire, almost everybody on the X Factor team died via the death spirit, and so it's pretty damn gruesome, like how people went out. But then we cut to the present. So basically everybody gets wiped out. I know Draken, he gets his head freaking cut off. Yeah. That was the oh shit for me. I was like, he basically tried to get his revenge against this spirit that impaled him in the previous issue. And he kind of went toe to toe for like a second, and then she cut his head off.
Yeah. Only a second.
The interesting part of this book is, so everybody gets resurrected, right? Mm-hmm. And Charles is there, and he's very, very interested in iBoy. So I don't remember what book it was. It wasn't X Factor, but there was another book. Oh, it was the X-Men issue. It was the actual X-Men issue. So the actual X-Men issue, Darwin? No, not Darwin. Who was it that got stronger?
Oh.
Mimic?
No. I don't remember his name.
It's somebody that can absorb mutant powers and use them to his advantage. And so what happened is when he got resurrected, he was able to actually take powers from other individuals that weren't mutants. So he got an upgrade. Well, it looks like in this issue, when iBoy is resurrected, it seems like Charles has seen some kind of upgrade within iBoy. And I think what it is because of his power being sight, and we all know from our 10 of House of X and 10 of Powers of 10. Man, I don't know why I wanted to say 10 of Powers. I'm so flipped. Either way, when those books ended, one of the main restrictions on the island that a lot of people don't know about is that if you have any form of foresight into the future, you basically can't exist on the island.
I didn't even think of that.
Yes. So
no wonder.
I think iBoy might be in some trouble. I don't, because he doesn't show any in this issue. We don't see that. We don't see him see into the future, right? But because Charles knows about these like little minor upgrades that mutants are getting as they get resurrected. I mean, how could you not connect that dot as Charles? Like, this dude can see everything. What if he can start seeing into the future? Fuck, he might find out that we lose every time. So
good. I didn't even think of that.
So that connection is made via him being kind of like creepy around iBoy, and then as the issue ends, Charles sends a email to the head of X Factor saying, "Hey, you know, I'm a little. There's something going on with your boy iBoy. I'd like you to keep tabs on him." And the leader of X Factor is like, "No." Right. So I think there's a little subtle thing going on here that I think we're going to start seeing in other X books too, with other characters becoming more and more stronger when they're resurrected. And when I read that, I was like immediately like, oh shit, like we might start seeing Charles start like doing some shit. I mean, I think he's already doing some shady shit, but I think this is where we're like really like showing like, hey reader, something's wrong with Charles, like, and our favorite character who we really like in this issue might be seeing an axe fairly soon. Either way, they all get resurrected. They end up tag teaming the spirit to the point where they are able to knock it unconscious, and Siren shows back up. Like, she depowers and she's like, I need y'all to hurry up and get this thing out of me. I can feel her coming back. And I can't remember the name of the leader of the X-Force.
North Star.
North Star is basically like, we'll help you, but we need you to tell us what new bargain you made with the Morgan. And that's how the issue ends. But to me, the biggest revelation, I feel like that's a side quest when there's this whole idea of Xavier basically playing creepy on iBoy, thinking that he may manifest future foresight. Just saying, I think it's coming.
Yeah, that's definitely what's happening.
Either way, yeah, pretty crazy. So might have to reread the issue again just to make sure I connected those dots properly, but I'm almost certain that's what's going on.
Yeah.
All right, so next up we've got our last mutant book for the week is Wolverine, Black, White, and Blood, and this is actually the last issue of this series. I was mistaken in our comic book haul video. So these are our last 3 stories. Again, superb issue, really awesome stories. A little bit more history in these issues. If you're a seasoned X-Men reader, they give us a little bit of insight to where these stories are coming from, which I thought was kind of cool. I don't know. What do you think?
I really enjoyed that. That these were a little bit more from like very specific times in his past. Whereas the others were like, oh, it's kind of ambiguous where it could be from. These were like, this takes place directly after issue 174.
Yeah.
Which I actually really liked, especially the first issue, or the first story, I should say.
Yeah.
Because I just read, it was issue 173. I just read that issue probably 6 months ago. So it's still very fresh in my head.
Yeah.
Also, by the way, it was written by Kelly Thompson. I don't know if you know.
No, yeah.
But yeah, it was a really good, I think it was a good story that kind of paints Mystique and Wolverine at that time in not a sympathetic light, but like they can understand each other, where each other's come from. Mystique is like desperate to have her daughter back, and Wolverine's like kind of desperate to have his wife back.
Clarify something for me. So, because I don't know this, I'm going to sound stupid, and so whoever's watching this, don't fucking destroy me in the comments. So Rogue is Mystique's daughter?
Adopted daughter.
Adopted. Okay, cool. I was like, I don't think that's real.
So yeah, so she does adopt her. That is why Rogue is bad at first.
Gotcha.
Because at this time, Mystique is the leader of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, who very quickly after this becomes a government-sanctioned group. That is basically they hunt down mutants for the government.
I see.
This is the time when Rogue switches and comes to the X-Men and basically says, I don't want to be around Rogue and them anymore doing bad things. I want to be good. Please take me in and
Mystique, yeah.
teach me how to be good.
Gotcha. You said Rogue.
Yeah. That's what Rogue said.
Okay. Yeah, no, I enjoyed that story. And then again, we say it every time this book comes up, like the usage of just these 3 colors, I know it seems limiting, but my God, like you're able to express more, with just having that color palette. I mean, you've got, excellent shading and, usage of light and just extreme action. I mean, dude, like there's this right here with the claw, like that's just insane. And there's other forms. Like this entire issue is awesome. So that first story is kick-ass. I really enjoyed the middle story
with the Reavers.
Yeah, because like we had just talked about the Reavers like 2 issues ago in another book. And so just how brutal Wolverine is, and how like if you know your enemy, if you know Wolverine, which it felt like the Reavers did, why they felt like they could count him out by like shooting a hole through his stomach and then throwing him into the ocean, like, he's not coming back.
So I'll tell you exactly why. And they very quickly hint on this. I want to make sure I read it right, because I think I've got it right here. Okay, I don't have it. But basically, this is in between. Basically, this is right when they stop the Reavers A team, and Wolverine finds out that there's a B team.
Gotcha.
And he basically says that he's going to go ahead and go take care of them without the team, because he knows that these guys are going to need killing, and that the team is at this time in X-Men comics, they still didn't kill their opponents.
Gotcha.
You apprehended them and you knocked them out.
Well, he definitely fucking killed him.
And so they have fought Wolverine before. As a matter of fact, the guy that he mentions by name, I believe, is one of the survivors of him hacking them to bits during the Dark Phoenix saga.
And Angelo?
Yeah. In the Hellfire Club.
Gotcha.
I think he just hacks their arm off. But again, that was early 80s, I think, or late 70s, and so I think that wasn't graphic at all. And so they thought, listen, Wolverine's held to this code, hopefully, we have all these guys around us, we have all these guns, we're cyborgs now, and he has a code where he won't kill us, so I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, nope.
Nope.
And I think out of all of them, Angelo's the one that gets it the worst. So some guys get their heads cut off or cut in half. So Angelo, when he's the last guy on the boat, he's like, peace, and he takes off. He shoots up into the air, and Wolverine's like, nah, not so fast. And he gets a harpoon gun and shoots him through the chest, thunk, and I literally laughed out loud when that happened. And then the dude falls into the ocean and gets eaten by sharks, and I was like, that's fucking brutal. And then our third story is Wolverine in the Savage Lands against Sauron.
Yeah,
Sauron. And this is this one was probably the most comedic story, because
no doubt, yeah.
They hate each other and they're fighting, and then one of the dinosaurs, one of the T-Rexes on the Savage Land, is just going apeshit to the point where Sauron can't use his psychic abilities to control it. And they find out that there's this petrified dude that can control people's minds, and they end up killing him, and they kind of work together for a minute, and then after everything is solved, they go right back to fighting.
Yeah, we're gonna get back to this. Yeah, okay, let's go.
And so they go back to it. Overall, again, your idea, or not your idea, but the notion that you should pick this up and trade, I think is a perfect thing to do. Just because there's just so many good stories. I mean, you have multiple writers, including Donny Cates, that wrote stories, and I think the idea of the unique blend of artistry and writing in this book is great. I think, again, the limited color palette, I think, works in its favor. I think it makes so much sense.
Yeah.
And I know this is a copy idea from DC doing Batman Black and White, but this has just been a really good book, and I'm kind of sad that it's ending. But we do get Carnage. I know you're not picking up Carnage, but I am definitely picking that up, because I think we're going to get some really, really cool Spider-Man stories in those books, and Venom.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that this continues after Carnage 2 because I'd love to see this with more characters.
I kind of got that impression when I was reading the end notes, like, hey, we're jumping here. They made it sound like they're going to do more characters, not just Wolverine and Carnage.
For sure, yeah, they definitely made it seem that way. Yeah, it says inaugural series. Like don't worry, we're still continuing, and so yeah, I think we'll actually see some good characters besides Carnage.
I think you should probably just try to read Carnage, at least the first one.
I don't know. I literally don't even know. I've never read a Carnage.
I know, but you got
the reason
plenty of
why
time.
this book. One of the reasons why this book worked for me is because I know Wolverine's history so well.
Okay, you can probably read the first initial story arc of Carnage in a day, and then you'll like it. Either
Maybe
way,
if you've been right when you tell me something that I didn't like. If you've been right once about that, then maybe.
oh yeah, maybe. Oh geez, I wonder what. Oh, this book.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and X Factor.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's just one, but it's been more than one. So how can I trust you?
Children of the Atom. I can keep on going. Either way, this is Wolverine number 4. Thoroughly enjoyed it. When the trade gets announced, I'm pretty sure I'm going to pick it up. So that was all. All right. Continuing on the kind of mutant story, but not really, but kind of. This book was, I think this was my 1C book. It was okay. I mean, I'm a Deadpool fan, but it just was kind of like, hey, let's do it's the 30th anniversary. Let's just do an oversized issue. Now, that being said, Deadpool Nerdy 30 had its moments. There are 2 stories two stories in this book that I thought were actually really fantastic. One was Cable going back in time to save, then kill, then save, then kill, then save baby Wade. Did you read this at all? Did you read this, Nate?
I didn't.
Yeah, okay.
This one completely.
So the story, there are 2 stories, and that story felt so much like Donny Cates's Cosmic Ghost Rider with Thanos.
Yeah.
The first story in this book, I was like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. Like, it just none at all. But a majority of the stories were just like, him relating to characters that he's worked with in the past, situations that he's worked in with the past. But to me, the best story, there were 2 stories, and the one that I really liked the most was the one where Cable he literally goes back in time first to kill baby Deadpool, then to save baby Deadpool, then to kill, and it just goes back and forth to the point where you get literally, I'd say 50 different versions of Cable in this dimension trying to stop him / help him. It was hilarious. If there's one story in here that you want to read, it's this story, and it's hilarious. Literally, like, Deadpool is a baby, and he's already in his like Deadpool outfit. And he has like 1 tooth, and he's turning 1, and
Oh jeez.
it was comedically drawn, but I thought it was really good. And then all the other stories. I think the only other story that I really liked was Deadpool is like, he's been destroyed, like his body has been completely destroyed, and he's like in this like prison, and he's talking about how he could be where he be most useful, and like I could be part of the X-Men. No, I could be part of Alpha Flight. Hell no, I don't want to be part of those Canadian dudes, even though I'm Canadian. But the entire time he's talking, his body is like reconstructing itself, and he kind of looks like worms. It's kind of gross. And at the end of it, he's like, "Nah, I'm just gonna stay me." And he like puts his hands up, like celebrating my 30th birthday, and his like jaw is like starting to like reform. It's pretty fucking gross, but it was kind of cool. And then the last story, one of the last stories, was actually Rob Liefeld who wrote it and drew it. And you like immediately when I turned the page, I was like, "Yep, that's Liefeld. Like, this is him." And he kind of talks about like the commentary of how Deadpool has kind of evolved over the years. Like, initially when he started off, he didn't have like that little ninja tip at the back of his head. Like, he was just straight up like a skin tight suit. And he talks about the evolution of Deadpool in the sense of like him continuously getting more and more pouches on his costume, stuff like that. So a lot of comedic tones, a lot of action, some serious stuff, and then not so serious stuff. Overall, it was a fun issue, but I wouldn't, if you're not that familiar with the character, then this would be a total waste of time for you. Like, this is something that is meant for Deadpool readers, and I would say even very seasoned Deadpool readers. If you haven't done that, then I wouldn't get it if you're not into the character that much.
Gotcha.
So, all right. Next up, we're gonna talk about this issue, Daredevil 28.
Ring the bell, do the thing.
I'm doing it right now. Right now, it deserves 2.
Do I hear it? No, I don't hear it.
2. It gets 2 gongs because it is the pick of the week. This rarely happens for both of us. Double pick of the week. Yeah, dude, this issue was fucking fantastic. Chip Zdarsky continues to interweave amazing storytelling on top of talking about social norms and just dealing with in-depth psyches of the human being. You know what I mean? Like, really not just scratching the surface with social norms. And everybody, like, in this issue, basically you find out that everybody's got issues, right? Like, and we know that, but this book makes you look at Kingpin a completely different way, at least for part of the book,
right? At least
until the very end. We get 3 stories in this book. We get Kingpin basically feeling like shit that he put Typhoid Mary through the situation he put her through with the King in Black event. You've got Elektra dealing with emotions that she really has kind of packed away in her psyche that she doesn't really want to deal with, and this girl that she kind of pseudo adopted during the King in Black event because her mother killed herself, or got killed. Not killed herself. Her mother was killed as a symbiote. And then you've got Murdoch, who's in prison, and now he's questioning everything. He's questioning why he's even in prison. He's not only looking outside of himself, but he's looking outside of everybody in the prison. He's starting to essentially connect emotionally with the prisoners and the prison itself while he's there. And he's he's questioning his life as a lawyer. He's questioning his life as a superhero, as a person, right? And at first read, you're kind of like, okay, I get it. But then if you read it again, there's so many layers to this book, and it's all about the human psyche and really how our brain works. And I'm going to let you take over from here because I feel like you can deconstruct it as a hell of a lot better than I can. But I'll say this just real quick. The not the prisoner that saved his life in King of Black, but the other prisoner that he put away. I forget his name. Anyway, the way that all plays out is just masterful in this book.
Yes. So again, I don't. I think we try to not make it too in your face. Our outside influences that bring into comic books, but Chip Zdarsky.
It's really hard to not do that with this book. Like,
it's really hard to not do that with this book. So, Chip Zdarsky is somehow in one comic book is tackling mental health, the problem with the American incarceration system, and death of a loved one, and the humanity of imprisoned peoples, and he literally somehow does all that in 21 pages. Mm-hmm. The interaction that we get between Murdoch and the prison psychiatrist is absolutely astounding. She basically tells him that he's I don't want to say living a lie, but a lot of what he's doing is that he's not understanding that he's still coming from a place of privilege, and that he's not understanding the way that they are, and that when he gets out of jail, things are going to be normal for him. He still has the privilege. He gets to be in jail with a mask on and go by the name Daredevil.
Right.
And he thinks that he's on the same level as the other inmates that are incarcerated with him. And just having Daredevil, Daredevil's all about righteousness. And sometimes Daredevil does wrong and he tries to make up for it. That's obviously what we're seeing here. But that's always been Daredevil's thing, right? Is he tries to be righteous. And she's basically telling him, you're not. You're actually being kind of a dick. And I really like that, he's being called out on that.
Trying to figure out that guy's name, because that's in this entire issue. Kingpin's got big feelings and he feels depressed that he put Typhoid through that, and he realizes that Typhoid is really dealing with some big inner demons within her brain. She's got multiple voices in her mind, and then she's got Noel, who Noel is the total mindfuck, right? So you take that mental illness issue that she has, and then you turn it upside down with a cosmic entity that is the void, that is death personified. That's fucking heavy,
Yeah. And the guy's name's Neil, by the way.
Neil. Okay, so after we get the opening segment with Kingpin and Typhoid and with Elektra, we get, Murdoch is having lunch and Neil shows up and is like, hey, do you mind if I sit here? And Murdoch kind of blows him off. Hey, you're a criminal. You're different. I'm not supposed to be in here with you. He has that privilege.
I do think it's important to say that Neil is in jail. We find out that Neil is in jail for double homicide.
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah, for sure. He's not a good guy.
But I think it's important for another reason. But go ahead.
Right. So he kind of blows him off at lunch. He's just kind of like, hey, I got to go take care of something, and I think he actually gets called on. He has to go back and talk to the therapist. And then after their session, he hears, him being, having the hearing that he has, he hears Neil getting his ass kicked. Yeah. And so he goes and he intervenes and he tries to save Neil, and he kind of does. He breaks up the fight, and he doesn't kill anybody, but he breaks some bones. And then later on, Murdoch goes to sleep, and then he gets called again to the therapist's office, and she's like, hey, just wanted to give you the heads up. Neil killed himself. He committed suicide.
Yeah.
And you just see Daredevil he got hit by a ton of bricks, and he starts thinking back to a couple hours ago of how he treated Neil, and how his perception of what was going on with Neil in the bathroom, how that was, how it was perceived in his mind. What were you going to say about it?
Well, I was going to say that I think Neil being a murderer is very important, because we get to this point where Matt finds out that Neil has committed suicide. Neil is dead. And Neil is in this place. Part of the reason why that he is in this place is because Murdoch has prosecuted him. He's the one that helped put him in jail. Now, of course, Neil is responsible for his own actions. But I think that this really challenges this really dualistic thinking that Americans have, especially, that prisoner equals less human, less deserving of respect, less deserving of friendship. And I don't know, I really felt for not only for Daredevil, but I also felt for Neil. And to say that you feel for someone that's a murderer is a challenging feat as a writer to do in a 21-page comic. But it's also a really powerful message that You can hold your view of a prisoner as like, this guy did something wrong and he should be held responsible for it. But I can also feel bad for him that he gets the shit kicked out of him in prison so much that he wants to kill himself and eventually does.
Yeah, when I to me, like, and that's mid to almost towards the end of the book that happens. And like immediately when that happened, I was like, pick of the week. I'm sorry, pick of the week. And then we had the other part of the end of the part of the book, which was Electra telling this little girl who had lost her mother, like, hey, suck it up. Like, wipe those tears and meet me in the gym when you're ready to confront your feelings. So the spectrum of how you deal with your feelings, how you deal with loss is, I mean, it's all over the fucking place in this book. It's the spectrum is wide and full. And then we get back to Kingpin, who is just, he takes what he's learned. He's taken this new idea of sadness and realization of what Typhoid is going through, and he does what Kingpin does, and he turns it into rage. He turns it into vengeance. Yeah. And so, who's first on his list? Daredevil, and not just Matt Murdock, but both Daredevils. So he's put a hit at the end of this issue. He's put a hit out on Daredevil in jail and our new Daredevil Elektra, and the issue ends with Matt getting poisoned. And that was supposed to be, for I think for a nonchalant reader, the oh shit moment. But to me, it was just the social commentary, like you said, on mental illness and on loss and just perception of identity within the prison system. There was a lot of commentary in this book, and I just think I applaud it. And then on top of that, Chichetto again, fucking killing it on the artwork. I haven't read an issue of Daredevil. I was like, no, that didn't do it for me. Like, it's every time I'm like, hell yeah, we get another Daredevil issue.
I do want to say there's one more thing in this book that I thought was very profound and very important. Throughout the whole book, you constantly hear people being asked, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" That's the name of this issue, is "Are you okay?" Especially Matt Murdock is being asked by the therapist consistently over and over, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And he's like, "Yes, like I'm fine. Like this is a waste of time. Like I don't want to talk to you. Like I don't need help. I don't need help. I'm fine." And in the end, after he finds out that Neil has killed himself, he looks at her and just says, she says, "Are you okay?" And he says, "No, I'm not."
Yeah.
And I think that's really important to see a superhero admit that they're not okay and that they also need help.
Yeah. And like you said, like that speaks to saying to society, like, and I think it's kind of shunned to ask for help, whether it's, a mental issue or even if it's just in general, like asking for help. Like us as a society kind of put things on our shoulders and just kind of push through. And whether that's with work or with family or with even issues that you're dealing with as a singular person. And like you said, I think that's very important that a superhero is like, no, I am broken. I am broken and I need help. And I think that also plays into, like you said, he's a warrior for justice. He's deep in his faith, and I think he just kind of learned a little bit more about his faith, because like that's kind of the identity of faith, is that you can say that you're not okay, that you are broken, and that there's a way to get back up. And I think that's a very small subtext under that as well. But overall, the book is telling you that it's okay to not be okay, and it's okay to ask for help when you need it. And it doesn't always happen immediately. Sometimes it's a process, like Murdoch finds out. Like sometimes you have to be constantly barraged with the question, "Are you okay?" to finally realize that you're not. Overall, this book was fantastic.
Yeah, this was not just my pick of the week, by the way. I would genuinely say this is in my top 10 best single issues of all time.
Damn. Whoa.
Yeah. I'm assuming you're playing a noise.
Yes. Either way, that's Daredevil 28. If you're not reading this right now, what are you doing with your life? get on it, get the trade, or wait until the omnibus comes out. I know the hardcover for the first 11 issues or 10 issues is coming out soon, so
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to pick that up.
I wouldn't wait that long. I'd get the trades and then just wait for the Omni.
There you go. All right, next up, another social commentary book for sure is Eternals #3. Kind of, live life, free love. Little craziness.
I didn't get a lot from this book.
Really? Well, I don't know the characters. Again, we're talking about Eternals #3 here, by the way. I just don't know the Eternals that well to to really understand the consequences of what's going on. I mean, obviously it's a big deal when you have an Eternal taking multiple lovers that are deviants.
Oh my God. Hold on. Stop. Maddie, did you just miss the Daredevil book? Because
He did.
I'm going to scream and I'm going to punch you in the balls. God damn it.
I think we might need to start over.
We'll just send them the Daredevil cut.
The Daredevil video. Either way. Okay. So someone that's watching this on YouTube, we've got a friend, Maddie, who totally missed our Daredevil review. And if you haven't seen our Daredevil review, you can definitely check it out after this video. So Eternals 3, basically what we get is Thena just being a misfit, honestly. She is the daughter of the King of the Eternals, and she is kind of a misfit. She I wouldn't say a misfit, but she doesn't deal with the norms of the Eternals. She kind of just walks at the beat of her own drum. And through her years as an Eternal, she is a free spirit. So she loves who she wants to love, quite literally. And in this book, we find out that she's taken up multiple lovers, and some of them have been deviants. And I wouldn't say she's naive, but she wants to see the good in everybody. And so she kind of has that same idea amongst the deviants. And so we see that history with her, and I forget the name of the other character that's kind of pushing her. But through their history, she's kind of her friend, or the other Eternal, Cersei, has basically reminded her that deviants aren't to be trusted, and to an extent, Eternals really aren't to be trusted. They all have their own ulterior motives. So in this book, we find out that Thena finds out that her father has been murdered. And she's a suspect because her last, hour or so with her father, she threatened to kill him because of her. Say what?
It's kind of a big deal whenever you're looking for a murder suspect.
Right. So, and because the reason why she wanted to kill her father was because he disapproved of her taking a lover as a deviant. And so there was just this, huge family feud. So this book essentially is us finding out that she's had a more colored past with the deviants, and that Siri, or what's her name again? Sorry. Cersei. Cersei has bless you, by the way. She's warned her about deviants before, right? In a not so subtle way. And that's what we get in this issue, is just her history of being kind of naive to that, and her finding out that her father has been murdered and that she's a prime suspect, and now she's got to figure out how to clear her name. The other thing, the one thing I did like about the book, but that I found interesting was we cut back to Icarus and the boy that he's trying to save, but he doesn't know why. I thought that was hilarious. It
was a funny interaction. I still I wish that we could have a little bit more understanding of what's going on here. We need to know why this is here at this point. I'm starting okay, come on.
Yeah.
But the interaction was funny. It was humorous, especially when they just had this big long out conversation, and then he was like Sophia Robson, this coffee is good.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. He's like, I like humans and I like coffee. So
yes.
But overall, like I'm still intrigued. Like I want to know, what's up. Who killed him?
I don't. That sounds too complainy. I mean, I'm not upset with this issue. I enjoyed the issue. Again, you're probably gonna have to write the shittiest story on the planet to get me to drop a book that's being drawn by Assad Ribic. So good luck.
Like Spider-Man.
Not there yet. We'll get. I'm sure we'll get there.
Yeah, we will.
I just, we're 3 issues in, and I'm like, okay. So in the first issue, we set up that dude's been murdered, and we're solving a mystery. And in the second issue, we didn't really do much. We had a cool Thanos fight, which satiated me, but didn't get any closer to solving that mystery. And in this issue, we have a cool personal history of Thena. If you're not familiar with her as a character, I don't know if this is new information or not. And then we get a funny joke, and it's like, okay, cool. But like, we're still not really any closer to solving this mystery at all. So like, what is this like? Is this going to be a 12 issue arc of just solving this mystery? Like,
I get the sense that yes, it's going to be a very slow burn / build to the point where at the end of it, I feel like, and this is me just assuming that at the end of it, we will appreciate the build when the end actually gets to where it needs to be.
Yeah.
I can see how that's frustrating and how some people are kind of like, I'm out, I'm done with Eternals. But you just have to go in knowing that this book is not, that's not what this book is. Like, this is something completely different.
Yeah.
So either way, I enjoyed it, and I know you enjoyed it too. And I am not a Assad Rivic super fan, but with every issue, I'm like, yep, this is awesome. Like,
well, and I would even argue that this isn't his best work. So if
right,
you like this, you'll like his more of his stuff too.
Yeah, and like his Secret Wars shit, like, holy fuck, I'm so glad I have that book, and I'm glad that you have that book. But damn, that's some good shit. But overall, there are other books on the market now that I'm like, what are we doing? This is not good. But overall, enjoyable issue. Can't wait for 4. I think we might get some more action in 4. So
it's like, at least from the cover.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Strange Academy number 9. We're gonna go through this one fairly quickly. I did enjoy this issue. This series is still freaking fun. This one definitely is a filler issue, outside of one thing. So, this is a Parents' Day issue. This is, your parents come to school and see what you're doing, and the Strange Academy has made it where it's kind of a festive and a competition for Parents' Day, where the parents and the kids get to compete throughout the day, just kind of to waste the day. What I found interesting is, like, we're learning about each student and what their parents or relatives are. And remind me, I could be completely off, and I may have completely forgotten, but the 2 Asgardian boys. Mm-hmm. So are those Thor's sons?
No.
So why are they calling Loki uncle?
Because they're it's the other brother. That's their dad.
Who's the other brother?
I can't remember his name. There's another brother.
Oh, okay.
He's not very popular. I can't remember his name.
Clearly. I thought that was interesting. I was like, oh shit. So, there might be some more linkage to them. They may be a little bit more important than we really think. That's what I got from it. But we get some character development in this book. We get we get into the head more of Dormammu, and, how he's feeling about Emily, and, his father and how he's kind of being misrepresented. I mean, yeah, I get it. You're the spawn of evil, but at the same time, like, you can be your own individual. And that's what we kind of get in this book. And we also get that with our jacket character here. I forget his name, but he's kind of say what?
I was saying me too. I can't remember his name.
He's kind of, he's misrepresented too. And I think we get a little bit of so essentially everybody's parents and or family shows up except for these 2, because either 1, your dad's like a demon, or 2, you're a foster child and your foster parents were complete dickheads to you, like in Harry Potter. And so
Harry Potter comparison, who would have guessed?
But overall, I thought the issue was fun, and we got, like I said, we got some character development with Doyle, and I think he or Dylan, sorry. Or no, Doyle. What's his name?
Doyle.
Doyle Dormammu. I liked it. But it did feel very filler-esque. Like I don't feel like we got a lot that progressed what Scotty Young is trying to we didn't get anything like what's Strange hiding,
right.
How is Emily progressing with her powers. Like it felt very fillery, but not in a bad way.
Not in a bad way. It was probably the weakest of the 9 issues so far, but it was still fine. Like it's not like we're gonna drop it or anything like that.
No, and especially with what's coming up next. Like the next cover is literally a school bus driving on the Bifrost to Asgard.
Definitely.
The only thing I'll say is we don't get that issue until May.
What?
So we do. Yep, we do not get a Strange Academy issue in April, and I think that's because King in Black has completely taken over the month of April. I think they're giving Donnie his month because it's gonna
come out the first week.
What all
this
of
issue.
A King in Black? Yes, but then we get then we get all the wrap up of the tie-in issues, and then we get the very last issue of Venom, don't we?
Yeah.
It ends in April, so like it's a big week or a big month. So I think they're kind of we've talked about this outside of the show that Marvel seems to be kind of shifting titles around to let other creators let their title have their moment in the sun, and then they kind of go away and we go to the the next event, which in May we know is the Heroes Reborn event. So like it feels like if you look at those solicitations, we don't get a Thor book, we don't get a Venom book, even though Donnie's off of it. So it feels like they're kind of giving each writer their time to shine. So like April feels like it's going to be all about Donnie. So it is disappointing that we're not going to get a Strange Academy in April, but I think that just kind of builds up May to be super epic. Hopefully. Let's see. Maddie says, speaking of festive, y'all ever eat blue? Okay, I'm done.
No, I've never had blue Takis. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Takis are gross. You heard it here. They're gross.
Yeah, they're too sour. Like they're too sour.
They just don't taste good.
No, I like the taste. It's just too absurdly sour.
All right, so that's Strange Academy number 9. Next up, Immortal Hulk number 44. We'll get through this one fairly quickly as well. Overall, pretty good issue. Essentially, in this issue, the UFOs beat the shit out of Hulk. Essentially, they literally disintegrate him.
Wait, UFOs?
That's what the group is actually called. They're part of this Alpha Flight or Gamma Flight group, but they're called the UFOs. They all take their turn on beating the shit out of Hulk, and at the end, they literally fry his body to nothingness and send Joe Fixit and the Hulk back to the down below, where we find the leader has. It looks like the leader has conquered the down below, and so we're in some shit. Any Gamma being is basically in trouble, and the Hulk doesn't know how to fix it. He doesn't know. Joe Fixit doesn't know how to fix it. And it's not looking good. I'll tell you that right now. We've got
actually a guy that can fix things.
That's what's his name. I don't know if he actually fixes things. He gets yourself out of jam, I guess. Either way, we're, essentially 5 issues away from this book being over, and Hulk is not, it's not looking good for Hulk. I'll say that. The artwork in this book is really good. This is an Alex Ross cover. It's okay. It's okay. But I can see. I feel like I know where we're going, but I will agree with Gem Mint. He's like, man, I'm sick of Hulk looking like a dried up piece of fruit. Like that's literally. He just doesn't look. He doesn't look, or is he acting like the Hulk? He just looks kind of puny, like puny god kind of thing. So I'm kind of interested to see when are we gonna, is it gonna be the very last issue when everything ramps up again? Are we gonna end on a big cliffhanger? Who knows? But it's wrapping up. We got 5 more issues and then it's over. So I'm very interested to see where we go. But this issue does end with the leader like looking like a freaking. I mean, he has like multiple arms and legs, and he's like, "Bleh," you know, like in the down below, like giant, and the Hulk is kind of looking at it like, well, what do we do now? And so that's how the issue ends. Overall, it was a good read, and it was very action packed. But I'm ready for like, you know, I hope it's not a slow burn to the end. I hope we start kind of picking up the pace a little bit. I think Ewing will deliver, but we'll see. Whoo! Non-stop Spider-Man. Okay, so initially when I was setting up our show order, I was gonna have this book after Amazing Spider-Man, but I didn't want to go into this book upset, so I put it at the beginning.
Spoiler.
This say what?
Spoiler.
Yeah, for sure. This book is a breath of fresh air in the sense of, I feel like, you know, you could pick this book up not having read any Spider-Man and being like, whoa, this is a new story. This is a new story. It's a fresh idea, and it doesn't take long for you to understand what the hell's going on in the book. And I feel like that's a direct commentary to where Amazing Spider-Man is currently. I will just say that right now. So if you're wanting to know if Spider-Man's a good a character that you like a lot, and you're currently reading ASM and you want to watch that video is coming up next. But I feel like this is I know it's unintentional, but it feels like a direct rebuke of Amazing Spider-Man, because it literally is nonstop, but it sets the tone of the story. It sets what's going on in the story fairly quickly within the book, but it doesn't feel rushed. You know, when they initially announced nonstop, I was like, oh, so this is just going to be action, and there's no deposition, there's no story, and that can be any further from the truth. Like, this has a story, and I think for me at the end of the book, it made me wanting more. I was like, oh, this is interesting. Yeah, I want to see where this goes. And essentially what we have is Spidey is fighting a gang. I think they're drug dealers, if I'm not mistaken. And they're not beating the shit out of him, but they're keeping him on his toes.
They've got a lot of tech used against him. Big
time. And so, you know, he's able to do the Spidey thing and figure it out on his, you know, while, you know, in the motions, he's figuring it out. And then in the middle of the book, we find out that, you know, we cut back to an earlier scene about one of his friends or not friends, but acquaintances who passed away, who was really smart. He was in school. He was taking a bunch of classes, and he died of a drug overdose. And it was completely out of character for this character. And so there's this mystery building in this book of Peter trying to figure out, well, why did this kid who is like a super genius overdose on a drug that, you know, he's never touched a drug before in his life, right? And what we come to find out is there's this drug called, I want to say it's called A-list or something like that, or
something with an A in it.
Yeah, and he basically, this drug is found in his system, and he's like, why the hell is this here? And Spidey basically is connecting the dots while he's fighting this tech gang, and it looks like they're after the same thing, or they're trying to cover up. This is where it was only confusing for me. Is like, I feel like the gang was trying to cover up the usage of this drug, and it feels like they're the supplier, if anything. And you know, he's fighting this group, and he ends up getting a call from one of his friends. And the friend has basically said, hey, by the way, I just overdosed on A. And he's like, what the fuck? Like, why are you taking this drug? And so he goes and sprints over to his friend's, you know, place. The friend doesn't know he's Spider-Man. And he shows up essentially, and she's passed out, basically about to die. And he injects her with like some adrenaline. And she wakes up, and they're getting bombarded by like missiles and by this group who's following him. Because they want to have the notoriety of being able to kill Spider-Man. And so when he saves her, she's like, "Who the hell are you?" And he's like, "I'm Spider-Man. I'm here to save you, but don't worry about that." And she's like, "Awesome. Who am I?" And so the issue ends with his friend essentially losing her memory because she overdosed on this drug. So Peter's got all these different mysteries he needs to solve within this first issue. It was jam-packed. It had action, it had writing, it had a story, and it made the reason why I say this is because my distaste for Amazing Spider-Man right now, this was a breath of fresh air, in my opinion. I know that you read it and you were kind of like, I don't know what the fuck's going on in here. But you're not a big Spider-Man fan. So there might not be anything here for you. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not a big Spider-Man fan. I kind of grazed over this issue a little bit, and the art really turned me off. I'll probably need to go back and just give it a proper read, but I'm not a good judge of a Spider-Man book though, because I'm not a big Spider-Man fan.
Gotcha. And see, for me, it's the opposite. I absolutely loved the art in this book. I felt like it felt stretched, and it felt like you were moving, like you were being pulled in certain directions in this book. And I feel like that was done on purpose. I felt like it was motion heavy within the drawing. Like you were just going all over the place. And Spider-Man isn't a square, Maddie. You're a fool.
He does look like a 13-year-old, and that is a massive turn.
I don't think he looks like a 13-year-old. He looks like he's in college.
He looks like he's 13. Just got his pimple. Hate it.
Either way, I enjoyed it. I thought the artwork was fantastic. Overall, it's a breath of fresh air, and the reason why it's a breath of fresh air is because this book sucks. And I don't like saying that. It pains me. And you know what? This issue actually doesn't suck, and that's why I'm upset.
Doesn't make any sense, but all right.
Well, let's break it down. So this is, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put Amazing Spider-Man and Nonstop Spider-Man in the same video. And so the reason why I have such issue with this book is because, again, Nick Spencer has no regard for what he's written in the past 60 issues. He has no regard for it. Look at this. You look at the cover. New costume, new job, new Spider era begins here. The first page lets you down on that promise right there. The first page, you see Kindred. Again, if you've never picked up a Nick Spencer Spider-Man book until issue 61, you have no fucking clue who this guy is on the first page. It's fucking Kindred. And as a first-time reader, you're like, oh, well, I guess we'll see him later. Probably not. You probably won't. You'll probably never even learn his fucking name when this book ends, right? And, oh my God, I'm so hot. Like, I'm... and I don't want to be, because we try really hard on this show to not dog books, like to not badmouth books. But fuck, man, like, this is garbage. It's garbage. And it's upsetting to say that. I don't want to knock a writer because this is his work. This is his hard work. But like, dude, no acknowledgement of the past 60 issues outside of the first page. And then suddenly Peter Parker has a new job, a new suit. And if I'm reading this, I'm like, wait, what? How? Where did? Huh? Right? And essentially this. So he gets. Now I will say this. Honestly, I'm here for it. Yeah, right, Maddie. Here, okay. He gets the suit from Jonah of the Daily Bugle. He gets the suit because instead of Jonah wants to make Spider-Man a social media experiment. Essentially, the suit has a VR capability that if someone subscribes to the service, they can see what Spider-Man sees when he fights crime. So, yep. And he live streams the suit live streams when he fights crime. And people are subscribing and buying into this idea. So Jonah's making money off of Spider-Man. Right? Great. Fun. Awesome. On the top of this, we've got, and this is how this book is so discombobulated. So the Kingpin is looking for these tablets to put together to control something. And Boomerang, who was in the previous issues prior to the Kindred Sin Eater saga, has this ability to see where these tablets are. And so he has one of them. And so Kingpin puts a hit out on him. Right? I can already tell, like, you're like, wait, how do I connect that dot? Fuck, I don't know. And so there's that part of this book. And like, I'm even confused. Like, it's so out of whack. In my mind, I'm like, well, what happened to Sin Eater? What happened to Kindred? No. We're not talking about that. We're starting this new story arc. Hey, do you know what it's called? We don't either. Not until May, when there's a giant size issue ending the arc. That's how it's just so, it's whack. It's so whack. And like, the action in this book was badass. I think the idea of the suit, I think it's a cool idea, but it's not Spider-Man. It doesn't feel like Spider-Man, and God, I sound like such a rube. Like I sound like a guy that's like, just give me my classic comic books. But I don't feel like that's even like, that's just not, it just doesn't feel like Spider-Man. It feels like Nick Spencer had a bunch of ideas and he was like, here's how I'm going to execute it. You see these darts? Wow. And he just threw them at a board and he's like, all right, we're going to go like this and just follow a weird path. And it doesn't make any sense to me. And this issue, if you had not had the first page where it showed Kindred and what Spider-Man had been dealing with for the past 60 issues, you know what? This would be a new number one. Totally. But what's frustrating is that you're not acknowledging what you wrote about in the past 25 issues.
Yeah.
And it's like in the last issue, we dealt with Spider-Man having a fake conversation with Kindred and how he was going to resolve his feelings towards Kindred, aka Harry Osborn. And so we're like, all right, here we go. And then we get this issue and it's like, and forget that. We're going to go in a completely different direction where Spider-Man is literally a walking Twitch channel. That was it. That was this book. And then we find out that Kingpin has put a hit on their new pet that they got 20 issues ago. And I can't even remember what that thing is. I was like, wait, what? How they put a hit on this monster pet that they got prior to the Sin Eater issues starting. Yep. And it's like, we haven't seen that guy in 25 issues. And the reason why I say 25 is because there's a bunch of .lr issues that there are things that happened in those books that have not been resolved. All this is it's just a big problem that has not been resolved. And I don't understand, like, again, I think it's Marvel saying, well, people are just going to pick it up because it's Spider-Man. So we're just going to keep going with it. And I'm like, no, like, either have Nick Spencer figure out what he wants to really do, or cancel, restart, and put Donny Cates on Spider-Man. I'm going to say it every time this book comes up.
And now the hidden agenda reveals itself.
Sorry. Either way, Nonstop Spider-Man, good. ASM 61, bad.
Whack.
And I wish I hadn't, whack. Whack! It's whack, dude. And I hate saying that. I don't want to say that. And it frustrates me internally. Like, Spider-Man's my favorite. I don't want to dog anybody. Look, Spider-Man sucks. You know what? This Spider-Man sucks. I will agree with you, Maddie. It's just not good, and it's not fun, and it's draining. And I don't want to drop it from my pull list, but I'm really, really close. I'm really close. Like, and I don't want to say that. I really don't. So, all right, tell me about Superman, Nate.
Okay. So, totally totally new book for us, for me, I guess. So very quick background here.
Hold on. I know that you need basically what I need you to do is I need you to explain all of the DC events before we even get into this book. So tell me everything.
There's a bunch of stuff that happened that didn't count for a long time, and now it counts again.
Okay.
And then for a really small time it didn't count, and then now it counts again. But sometimes there are versions of the characters that are all together. In their own bodies, not like the girls and the boys are together. Well, sometimes that happens.
You know that scene in The Hangover when he's counting cards? And there's like math equations, like that's literally just happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now that you understand, I've never read a Superman comic in my life. I don't know anything about Superman comics. I've only seen one Superman movie, and apparently it's the bad one. But
it's not bad.
No. I thought it was fine. I'm just saying that everyone else says it's bad.
Says it's bad. I don't agree. It's a good movie.
Anyway. As Lex Luthor one.
I like that one. I thought that one was fun.
But I'm a big Philip Kennedy Johnson fan as a writer, and so I thought this is a perfect opportunity to jump on a Superman book. So this book is basically a story between Jonathan Kent and Clark. The book opens up with them basically fighting some monsters in space. There's like a rift outside of Earth. And these monsters are kind of getting in through the rift, and there's a space station out there that they're trying to save. They kind of fight them back and knock them in, and they kind of come back, so they fight them and knock them back in again. And, they're like, hooray, we saved the day. And basically we get a little bit of a glimpse between what happened between, or not what happened to Jonathan Kent while he was in the future, but we basically find out that he knows how his dad is going to die.
Shit.
He says that, like, for some reason, these creatures mess with your invulnerability. And right on cue, one of them pops back through again and, like, slices his arm, and his arm, like, Superman's arm, like, cuts open and bleeds. Which, he does. That's not really something Superman does. He's invulnerable, right?
Yeah.
And so he's like, Dad, like, you can't be here. Like, you can't fight these guys. Like, when they come back, just let me go by myself. I can handle it. And of course, Clark's like, dumb. Like, no, there's no way. It's fine. And then they have a little bit of a Henry Cavill is young. Okay. Now he's having a moment over here.
Maddie is.
Then they basically go down to the planet and have a little bit of son and dad talk. And we get, I almost think this is like an introduction to new readers to kind of let you know that there's something has happened with Jonathan. Of course, I did some digging, and who knows, maybe I didn't understand it quite, but Jonathan basically goes with his grandfather to the future, gets lost there for a while, and eventually comes back. He feels like it was 3 years to him, but and I think he was trapped. What did you say that bad Superman's name was?
Ultraman.
Ultraman. I think he was enslaved by Ultraman for 3 years.
On Earth 3, right? Yeah, Earth 3.
And but when he comes back, it's only been 3 weeks for Superman. And so he's like, hey, do you want to play pine ball or pine cones or something? What does he call it? Yeah, Coney ball. And he's like, oh, Jonathan's kind of like, oh, like, I don't really remember how to play it though. And Superman's kind of like, what do you mean? We just played all the time. Oh shit, yeah, you were gone for 3 years to you. Yeah, I mean, it's really just kind of like a story between father and son, which I found interesting because I didn't realize that he had an actual son. So that's nice. And then I guess Superman has a computer, that like supercomputer that talks to him and does shit for him, and he basically analyzes it.
This is my MacBook.
He analyzes the breach for Superman and says, "Hey, by the way, that breach is being forced by the very space station that you are saving from it." And throughout this whole book, we get glimpses of some woman who I don't know if I'm supposed to know who that is or not, but some woman who works for Stargate or Starcraft or whatever, who's like plotting to make sure that they can take down Superman. Star Laboratories is the name of the space station. And so basically we see one big giant breach happening and a really big monster coming out and Superman racing towards it. And the next issue is called The Fall.
Uh-oh.
So I almost wonder if I just jumped into a Superman story where Clark Kent isn't going to be Superman. Which, again, whatever.
That sounds plausible.
I mean, at one point, Jonathan even says, like, I hate it because when I was on Earth 3, people called me Superman, and people, like, you know, they were like, when are you going to take up the mantle, and when are you going to be? And then he's like, I'll never be Superman. That's my dad. And so I wonder if that's a foreshadowing of what's going to happen.
Yeah. Only time will tell.
There's also this backup story of some dude named Bibbo, who I'm sure my face is making some people mad because they're like, Bibbo, he's the greatest character ever. But I thought he was great. It was really
Bibbo.
It was really funny. I don't understand what it is, but I thought it was cool. Nice. Overall,
let me ask you this: will you continue to? Are you going to continue to pick this up, or are you just like, you know what, the same for me?
I don't know. I'm going to continue to pick it up for sure. So,
nice.
Johnson's taking over both Superman and Action Comics, and it looks like, at least for the first few issues, they are literally going to be going back and forth.
Oh, wow.
Because this Superman, which is issue 29, clearly highlights, it says the Golden Age Part 1, and Action Comics, 1000 whatever, which is coming out, is the Golden Age Part 2. So it is absolutely the direct next issue. It's not like they'll be kind of tied together. It's like,
right,
if you wanted to follow the story, you have to buy that other book too.
Gotcha.
Now, because this book says coming up next to The Fall, it could just be a 2-part thing, and then that's it. Then they won't be going back and forth anymore. I just don't see that being the case with Johnson writing both books.
So, remind me again. So the Superman that's in this book that is foreshadowed to possibly fall, this is the Superman where his two identities merged to one, yes?
I believe so. I believe this is a pre-Crisis and the new 52 versions of Superman,
dude,
infused into one body, and all of the memories and thoughts and ideas from both are in the same person. Yeah.
I just remember, like,
you're wrong.
I just remember Superman being faster than a speeding bullet and train, and that's
It's not the world we live in anymore.
Jesus. All right. Well, that's cool. Next up, we have the Joker, #1. Initially I wasn't going to pick this book up. I was like, but that being said, the Infinite Frontier story that was in Infinite Frontier Zero, which I had a very passionate discussion about last time we talked, that was one of like 2 stories that I was actually interested in. So this deals with the aftermath of what happened in Infinite Zero, which was Joker literally killed everybody in Arkham Asylum. Like, killed him with his happy gas. The only difference is the Joker gas. Usually when you get infected by it, you continuously smile and you laugh to death. Well, in this version of the gas that he made, you smile, but you don't laugh. So nobody knew that they were being attacked. Pretty fucking crazy. So everybody just died with their jaws like dislocated and bleh, they're dead. And so I think they said something like 350 people died in Arkham, prisoners and personnel. And so, at this point in time, Commissioner Gordon, who's no longer a commissioner, is retired, and he's hearing about this and he's like, well, shit, what are they going to do? And he's being fed information by Batman about what had happened, and he's later on
Sorry. See what had happened was
basically the city of Gotham has commissioned Gordon to come back and be the Joker czar and figure out what the fuck is going on, because Joker can't be found. They don't know where he is. They don't even know if he did it, but it seems like he did. And Gordon is dealing with this internal conflict of the Joker. The Joker seems to be haunting him in his psyche, to the point where, rightfully so. The Joker has tortured his daughter, Barbara, killed his son, has just had a lot of misfortune with the Joker. I mean, when you have that type of history with a villain like that, yeah, you're going to have some psychological issues towards that dude. Yeah. And I think the coolest, we talked about this today at lunch. The coolest thing about this book, or one of the artwork wise, is when he visits his son's grave, and he's haunted by the idea of Joker. Yeah. And it is a wicked looking, like, he's got multiple faces and eyes and hands, and it's just kind of gross. And this entire time, like, Gordon's like, he doesn't really know if he's up to the task, if he's, if he really wants this responsibility of having to chase the Joker again. And in his process of figuring out if he's going to do it again, in his process of remembering of grievances, he's approached by a mysterious woman who, her name starts with a C. I cannot remember how to pronounce it. And I don't know if we're supposed to know who this character is. I don't think we do. I don't think we're supposed to. Anyway, she's proposing to him that she wants Gordon to track down the Joker and kill him. Mm-hmm. She's basically making Gordon a hitman, and he's like, yo, I'm a retired cop. I don't do, that's not my thing. And she's kind of like, well, we know that you're down on your luck right now. You're financially not really that stable. You probably got 2 to 3 years left when your pension runs out, and then you won't have any money. So if you want to try to find the Joker and you accept our offer, we'll give you $25 million. And Gordon's like, I mean, that sounds good. Yeah.
That sounds good.
Right. So he basically is, given a proposal like, hey, do this, we'll pay you, but you have to kill Joker. So he's dealing with a conundrum. He's got this idea of taking another life, but it's the Joker. Is it worth it? Maybe. The guy's a fucking dick. So, it might be worth taking it up, and then, hey, payday. Right. So he's left with this proposal of tracking down the Joker. And the book ends with him, I think, having not really figured out if he's going to do it or not. But then we cut to Joker, in the Bahamas or somewhere, and he's essentially murdered his way into a hotel room. Yeah. And he's got a newspaper, and it's talking about how Joker got the last laugh at Arkham. He destroyed Arkham, and he's literally insane. He's like, come get me, he knows it's coming. And so I felt like Tinian's voice was very prominent in this book, and I'm so used to reading Tinian in independent books, which are kind of creepy and psychological thrillers and scary and action packed. And I felt like this book had classic Tinian writing in it. Enough that it got me intrigued. When they cut to Joker and the island and everybody was dead, including the lady in the bikini, her face was all shut up. I was like, oh shit. He's not messing around. It's not this isn't a haha, you caught me, Joker. It's no, this dude's fucking sick and twisted. And the brutalness of it reminded me of Three Jokers,
yeah,
that kind of twistedness.
I actually thought this cover was a pretty bad cover for this issue, because it just makes this book look silly, and this book is not silly.
Not silly.
And he almost looks like he could be like a pop punk heartthrob here on this cover. Yeah. I maybe that's just me, but Honestly,
But
that particular cover like was a turn off for me.
that's the Joker though, right? Like you're getting a little meta in the cover. Like it tricked you. That's the Joker.
Nah.
You don't buy it?
I mean, it made me hesitate on buying the issue, so I think that it didn't work.
I guess, yeah. Well, I personally like the cover. What threw me off, but I think it was in a good way, was, I thought, and this is what I was going to tell you at lunch, but I didn't tell you. Why I like this book so much is because it's dealing with an everyday character who doesn't have a persona, who's not a superhero, who is tracking down a supervillain, right? And what it basically made me feel, and this is going to piss off a lot of DC fans, especially my friend Evan, who is a huge Batman, like he's a super fan of Batman. I don't like Batman. And I think the reason why say what?
I don't even read Batman, and I like Batman.
I don't like Batman because Batman is Iron Man without the Iron Man suit. He's just a dude who is got a cape.
That's the worst take I've ever heard.
And he's here we go. And he's a detective, and like for me, Gordon has more balls to be Gordon and go after the Joker. You know what I mean? Like Batman hides behind a cape.
Gordon. Okay.
I did it. All right, go.
Oh man.
I'm kidding. It's not that I don't like Batman. I like the fact that, forget it. I didn't say I didn't like Batman. I'm not a fan of Batman, but I like this book because Batman's not really in it. It's rich guy, funny suit. Batman sucks. Thank you, Maddie. No, I just like that to me, I feel like there's more development in Gordon that we could see.
Well, that
because
I agree with 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. With Batman. Yeah, we know Batman. Oh, my parents died.
He's already got 4 books going on. He doesn't need
exactly
this one.
Yeah,
that I agree with. But saying that he's a worse version of Iron Man is the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard in my life.
I literally said that just to piss people off. I don't really believe that.
Oh boy.
I just said it to see how many dislikes we can get on this video. I'm just kidding.
It's going to get a lot.
Yeah, but that being said, no, I just think it's good. I think it's cool that Gordon is more prominent in this book than Batman. Like Batman's feeding Gordon information. You think it would be the other way around, and Batman's like, "Hey, you got to figure this out." Yeah. And I think that's cool. I think that's a really good, a cool way to introduce another book. And like you said, Batman's got 4 freaking books. Give somebody else the limelight. Overall, I enjoyed it. I think I'll continue it. I didn't know Iron Man only not as cool. Maddie, right now, me and you are on the same. We're on the same level right now. The only thing is, Jacob mentioned that this is actually an ongoing and not a miniseries, so that's kind of interesting.
We'll see. Yeah, I haven't heard that. I've only heard that from him. So
okay. The other thing I will say is, as much shit as I'm giving Batman, the fact that Tinian is writing Batman right now, kind of like this is making me want to read Batman. So,
yep, me too.
Good job, DC. So, all right, our last book, Proctor Valley Road from Boom Studios, the Grant Morrison book.
Did you end up reading this?
Yes, I did, but I will sprinkle.
No, I just wasn't sure if you ended up reading it. So
no, I did.
As we said in the poll video, the motivation for picking this book up is pretty simple. Boom, #1, Grant Morrison.
Right.
That makes for a pretty easy pickup, I think. I'm also really into horror comics. I like the fantasy elements of horror. I like the spooky elements of horror, but I'm too chicken to do that in movies. So I totally agree. I can't do it. So I can read books. I love Stephen King's probably my favorite author of all time. Even though his books aren't that scary.
What are you talking about? Is scary?
His books?
Maybe I'm wrong. I think they're scary.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Anyway,
continue.
So I'm very into horror comics. That's all I was trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
And this book was a lot of fun. Basically, early 1970s teen book, which I really enjoyed I like the era. I like the idea of like, a bunch of teenagers. I think they're all girls in this group, right? Yeah, all girls, just kind of like hanging out, like they're all kind of like losers or not like the in crowd or whatever. But the gist of this story is they go to a carnival or something and are hanging out, and they convince these 4 guys that they are going to, or 3 or 4, it's 4. They're going to take these 4 guys on a haunted tour down Proctor Valley Road, which is a real place outside of San Diego.
I did not know that.
Yes, it is a real road, and it is thought of as haunted.
Huh.
And so like they hang out with these guys for a while at the carnival, ride roller coasters with them and stuff, and then basically they're trying to get money to go see a Janis Joplin concert.
Right.
By the way, I was familiar with this Janis Joplin song. It's called Cosmic Blues. As soon as I saw the lyrics, I like pulled it up and played it on Spotify while I was reading the book.
That's creepy.
No, it's not a creepy song.
Okay.
It's a very good song. I actually think it set the tone really well. It just like made me feel like I was in the 70s.
Okay.
And yeah, they're trying to make money to go to see Janis Joplin, and they convince these guys, hey, if you pay us $5 a piece, like we'll take you in our van and do a haunted tour of Proctor Valley Road. So they go out, and one of the girls, puts the flashlight under her face and starts trying to tell spooky stories. They're all passing around. You can guess it's a cigarette or a joint. And then the guys like stop for a second. They're like, wait, is this actually supposed to be a haunted like tour? I think the one guy was like, I thought I was gonna see titties.
Yeah.
Like, basically the guys thought that they were like
they're about to get some
with these girls or something, and that's not what happened at all. And so they're like, a couple of the guys are like, screw this, we're leaving, we're just gonna walk back, we don't even want to be around these girls anymore. And as they start walking down this road, the guys come across a fucking, I don't even know, like a werewolf looking
well, one dude dips, like he's like, I gotta piss, and he pisses and he gets eaten by that werewolf.
Yeah, he's gone. And then we see a quick glimpse of a bull wrapped in chains, and we, hear his beer bottle slam and screaming and yelling, and so the girls freak out. They're not near these guys. It's pitch black outside. They all get in their vans and they hightail it back to town. And the next day, they're pulled out of school, and you think that they're going to get in trouble for these guys disappearing, and that, what did you do to them? And it's actually because 2 of the guys that have disappeared have just been served papers. They've just been drafted to go to Vietnam. And so they think they helped them skip out on their draft papers, basically.
Jump the border.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I enjoyed this issue. I thought it was a fun little story. I think this is only a 6-issue mini. So it's... this is just kind of setting up, but I think we still have like I think we had a good understanding of these 4 characters. They all each have like their own unique identity. I really like the 70s feel to it. I didn't realize, even though I guess I should have paid attention by the cover, that it was not a current timepiece.
Yeah, and I kind of got fooled. I got kind of fooled on that too. Initially, I was like, wait, when is this happening? And then when they started talking about that stuff, I was like, oh yeah, okay, I get it now. No, I liked it. I think it set up a real nice murder horror mystery. I felt like the story the girl with the flashlight told, like the things she talked about got manifested in the road.
It kind of does seem like that. I meant to go like read about Proctor Valley Road and see if there's like an established story.
canon.
Essentially. Like, is there, I don't know, like maybe that's what this is known for in real life, is like a bull in chains and like a weird coyote werewolf. So I don't know if like she's just saying a common thing that everyone thinks, or is this road like sort of like evil magic and like what you say is manifesting out there.
And to give like people a representation of like what things kind of look like, I think you picked up the 1 in 10, right?
I didn't actually pick it up.
Oh, he didn't pick it up. Well, this is what the 1 in 10 cover looks like. It's actually fire, and I think Ron still has a couple issues. I might pick it up. I don't know, but it's pretty cool. Like that's kind of what that dude.
I like it so much.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So anyway, yeah, I enjoyed the book. I could totally see this again. We talk about it all the time with Boom. Outside of Berserker, if Boom comes out with a number 1, you should probably pick it up, because the chances of it being picked up and turned into a TV show or a movie are fairly high. I think it just got announced that they landed a HBO Max television animated series, and then they landed a Disney Plus TV series for R.L. Stine. That just got announced. So like Boom Studios, they are Ross over at Boom is just grinding and just pushing out really kick-ass stories that are getting the attention of other content creators, and that's only a good thing. I think that's one of the cool things about our hobby is like these books can later on down the road become visual representations, whether it's a movie or a TV show or an animated series. And Boom is just knocking, like obviously Marvel books are being turned into movies and shows. That's a given. But to have an independent comic book publication, hitting home runs left and right. Image Comics does the same thing. They had Walking Dead and some other shows. That's great. Yeah. And that's just it's going to continue that way. So to have a hobby where you're reading the base material, I think that's really fun. And Boom Studios is doing a fantastic job at doing that kind of stuff. So, only good things.
This kind of fits in already with that. There's like a Stranger Things. That's what I'm trying to say. Stranger Things.
There you go. Yep.
This is like a 70s all-female team version of Stranger Things. In a way, but I definitely get that like period piece vibe, the gang vibe. I'm excited for the next issue.
Yeah, it was a fun read. All right, so that is our pull list or our reading order for tonight. Excuse me. Again, I'm just going to remind everybody we got our March Two Fat Guys Pull List Mystery Pool subscription up right now. It is open to subscribe to. We're giving away a 9.8 CBCS graded Department of Truth number 1. That is the giveaway. If you enter, you may win that. And then as of course, we are giving, or Ron is putting in every box a Joker number 1 from Tinian, the Neil Adams variant. So everyone will get this. So also, if you are watching and you got the February box and won the Venom number 9 first appearance of Dylan Brock, let us know. Tag us. Tag Two Fat Guys Pull List on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook and let us know that you won it. We want to know. Yeah, send a picture. We'll just let you know now, guys. We only sold 1 box last month, and someone got it. Someone got that kick-ass key, and right now I think we're at like 5 or 6 boxes. So the chances of winning this 9.8 CBCS graded Department of Truth is very high. You have a very good chance of winning. So go to brainycomics.com. I think we're like the 4th option is the pull list. If you're seeing this on Instagram, just go into our link tree. We've got it there, and we will have it in all of our videos on YouTube. So that is that. That is our show. Make sure to, again, if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe, hit that bell. We are doing exclusive content over there. If you're not already subscribed to us, please go over there and do that first, please. We're doing comic book haul videos. We're in talks possibly to interview somebody at CBCS and talk about how they grade books, how they evaluate books, how much care they take with their books. We're looking to do an interview with them so we can get that out and, get a little bit more information on other graders, not just like CGC. We might have some other cool interviews that are coming up that Ron's trying to kind of get in line for us. So always be on the lookout on YouTube. It's Two Fat Guys Pool List on YouTube. But yeah, thanks again for watching, guys. Make sure to go buy some comics, and more importantly, go read some comics.
Yes.
But that being said, we'll see you guys next week.
Peace.
Later.